Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Star vs. the Force of Evil, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
April Collins.
Hello.
And Alex Bonilla.
Hola.
Today, Michelle, April, Alex, and I have a very important Star vs. the Force of Evil topic to get into.
Super important.
It's very important. We are in the throes of the Star off-season, and we're all very bored awaiting Season 3B. And I have decided that the most important thing to discuss is Marco's Harem right now. So this is let me introduce this topic.
Harem, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
It's a harem.
It's a harem.
Yeah, we were talking about the pronunciation before, but many people have noticed this phenomenon that every character on the show seems to increasingly be showing affection towards Marco. And this has been frequently memed about, and we need to seriously break this down in a 100% analytical and serious discussion like we always have on this podcast. And so we are going to talk about all of these people. We're going to go through like every character on the show. Do they show affection towards Marco? Is this romantic? Is there romance potential here between Marco and this person on both sides, on either side? And just generally discuss why everyone seems to be so thirsty for Marco. So that's the topic.
Such a shame.
Such a shame. Okay, well, we'll get the takes on this.
We're all thirsty for Marco. Let's
No.
Speak for yourself.
Okay.
Yourself, April.
So, right as we're about to record this, Disney XD tweeted, when should we announce the mid-season premiere date? Tomorrow, Saturday, next week, or never. So probably when you're listening to this, we'll already have the 3B premiere date, but as we're recording, they just put out that stupid tweet, the announcement of the announcement tweet. So we don't have that yet, but yeah, looks like we're going to be getting 3B, I assume, in like March or April. So hooray.
This is a good way to get your appetite ready for more Star versions.
Exactly.
You can come back at us and tell us we were right.
What are we predicting in this? Oh yeah, we're predicting who's going to end up with Marco. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
Did you forget what this podcast is about?
I don't know if that's really what we'll see what it's about. It's kind of up in the air what we're getting into. But, so this is, in 3B, when, Eclipse and Marco is canon, then you'll be like, we predicted it. So come back later.
Overly Animated called it.
Yeah, we called it. But yeah, find out about us at overlyanimated.com. We talk about every new episode of Star. Occasionally have some other discussions as well, like this one. So, search Overly Animated Star vs. the Force of Evil on iTunes, or, find us at overlyanimated.com/YouTube. I think that works. Or find our YouTube link on our website. Subscribe to not miss all of our Star podcasts, because when season 3B does come back, we'll be covering every episode, like always. So, we have this important topic to get into. Also, I want to say, make sure you check out the art, the Photoshop job that I did for this podcast. It's very important. The image that's associated with
really
this.
Good.
Yeah.
Really
I'm a
proud of it.
Photoshop
That's
master,
something.
and I spent like 5 hours on this, so.
You can see Hekapoo straddling Jana. You can see
Why is that the highlight? It's not the highlight of it.
Eclipses the size of a potato.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, she's
There's clouds in the
She's
background.
floating. Okay. Anyway, let's get into this topic. So I want to hear from everyone. And, do you agree? Here's the around the horn question. Do you agree with my characterization that, and really this is not my characterization, this is the fandom's characterization. I'm just listening to the people here, that everyone has been thirsty for Marco recently on Star. And, what do you attribute that to, Michelle?
No, I don't think they're all thirsty for Marco.
Why not?
But-
Why? How could you say such a thing?
Well, because we've had lots of evidence for some characters definitely not being into him that way for a variety of reasons. I mean, it depends on the character, their reasons, but absolutely not. I think, I can understand the fandom wanting this to be real, but that's a different matter entirely.
So you think this is shipping goggles from the fandom?
For some of it, yeah, some of it it's like valid, but some of it's absolutely. I see the names you put on this to talk about. I know some of it's pretty cracky, but some of it has some weight, so we'll get into it.
These are all 100% serious romance pairings with Marco, so I don't know what you're talking about. April, what do you think about this?
I think that not a lot of people are showing interest, but more have been recently, which can lead people astray, But if I had to, give it up to anything, it's probably Marco's sweet new cape.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's repelling people, it's actually attracting them.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, I heard Marco has a cape now. Like, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, not everyone has like picked up the cape thing, but those who have they're into it for sure, and that's my report as of right now. So
I like this theory that the cape is what's causing the thirstiness. Okay, that's good. I want more of that. Alex, do you agree with that theory?
Well, here's my take. I think I agree more with Michelle that I don't think it's the ladies of the show being thirsty for Marco. However, I've noticed I think Marco's being thirstier for female companionship. Since Starco has not made itself apparent yet, or like not open, so he's being more also in this show we've seen Marco gain confidence. In season 1, he was the safe kid. He had to be like coerced into doing certain things by Star. But by season 3, he's gotten a bit bigger of an ego, which has resulted in more tension between Star and Marco. And so that's resulted in exchanges between like Jana or Hekapu, where it's Marco who's initiating these exchanges, and the other female characters have to respond to Marco in some fashion. So I think that the shipping may have increased, but more on the fault of Marco rather than the female characters having any initial interest in him.
Yeah.
I feel like you're identifying a separate phenomenon here, Alex. We have that's a separate podcast. This Marco's effect. No, we don't. Yeah, no. One of my questions is this there on Marco's side as well? So I think that's a valid point. But I look, I'm going to stick up for the premise here. I'm not the one who originated this meme, but I think I have a list of 6 main contenders, and I think all of them have been thirsty for Marco. All 6. So I think you guys are wrong. It's every character on the show. I don't know why this is Marco's harem now. And I also think several of our less serious contenders have also been very interested in Marco. And look, I'm not claiming that all of this is romantic, but clearly Marco is the center of a lot of attention on the show. And it's not just female, because we're definitely going to get into Tom. And this is, everyone wants a piece of Marco. That's what we're saying here.
It's Marco versus his growing harem.
Marco versus the forces of hormones. Is that?
Yep.
Yeah. Is that the new show
or something?
So as the fake art for this, I Photoshop putting Marco instead of Star in the lead, and it's appropriate for our discussion topic. But I've seen people do stuff like that, and I kind of hate it because I don't like saying that Marco is the main character of the show. And I think the show is less good when it doesn't focus primarily on Star. This is too serious of a topic for us to get into for more than 2 minutes. But I think it should be noted that this is maybe our topic here is maybe indicative of the show's primary spotlight changing to Marco. Do we think that that's a thing? Michelle, what do you think?
Like in the show in general?
Do you think the show has been focusing more on Marco than Star?
In season 3?
Sure. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that, because we do have a few episodes where Marco's not even really in them, but he definitely I feel like his character is undergoing a certain amount of development that forces him to have more going on than we're used to, especially in the first season. But I don't think he has more time than her. It might be more noticeable when he's around, but I don't think he has more time than her in terms of story.
Mm-hmm. Alex?
I'm just going to come out and just disagree totally with that premise. I feel like the show has gone even more towards Star than it used to be, that it was a Star and Marco show, right? But then we did the separation where Star went to Muni, Marco went to stayed on Earth. And hey, what do you know? We had almost seven of the first 8 episodes of the season where Marco didn't show up or barely did anything. And even now that Marco has moved to Muni, I still feel that almost all of the episodes, the Star is the main character. Marco is just tagging along at this point. So I think actually this season has done more of making him a sidekick as opposed to previous seasons where they were doing better at portraying them more as equals.
Mm-hmm. So I think I agree with you that the show has made Star the main character in more episodes, but I think that what I'm trying to get at here is that something we've talked a lot about in this podcast. Right now, the show is inside Marco's head, and we've not really gotten inside Star's head. And this is something that, we've talked about, that, this is like the current iteration of Starco that we're having. Like, Marco realizes his feelings for Star. What Star thinks about Marco, what Star thinks about Tom, it's been very opaque. Like, this Tomco that we've gotten has not really been explained from Star's perspective. So while Star may be on screen more, I do think that we've been getting Marco's perspective more, maybe.
I was going to say that maybe that it's not, I mean, Star is still obviously the main character of the show, but I think that Marco, like, when Marco is featured, his, I guess, features are more, I guess they're more developed, if that's the right word to say, because we're like, it's more so like what he's feeling, what he's thinking versus like he's just there with Star kind of thing. Whereas before it was like, here's Star and her sidekick Marco. But as we've sort of been progressing, like we're still getting a lot more of those like Marco moments where we're like developing more into his character. Like, you know, like the lava lake beach or whatever episode. Like they're on the beach there, but like Star is there and she's still like a main character, but it's like Marco's episode. So
yeah,
like
Lava Lake Beach is the primary example.
Yeah. Like Star's there. She's, you know, we're still like interacting with her, but like her interactions didn't mean as much as like Marco's, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like season 3, as viewers, we're like way more invested in Marco's struggle than we have been in Marco before. And season 2 was a lot about Star's struggle and seeing everything from her perspective, and now it's kind of flipped a bit. I do notice that. I agree.
2B was Star's perspective, 3A was more Marco's perspective. I don't think it's going to stay that way forever.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's important in this discussion to separate the story of the show versus the relationships of the show. Because
how dare you say that the relationship is less important?
No, it's fair.
I'm definitely agreeing with you that with Marco, we have done more on that side of things, like seeing how he's dealing with relationship tension of the Star-Tom relationship. And it's working as a mirror of what we had with Star, her perspective on the Marco-Jackie relationship, since we never saw that either, really. So in that sense, we are getting more focus on there. But I guess when you said like what the show is focusing on, like when I hear that, I think story. And Star is the only one who's been involved in that. Marco
you think you're thinking like Starfari and episodes like that.
Yeah, and like Monster Bash was a big Star character episode. But like if we're sticking to the shipping side of the show, then yes, Marco's more important.
Which is, as we all know, the only side that matters.
Of course.
If Reddit tells me anything, then that's, you know. But I do think we got the Marco Squire storyline, which is very Marco's perspective. I don't think it's been just Star on plot. It's like the plot that matters that we care about has been Star. So I think but yeah. Anyway, I think 3B will shift us back into Star's head a little bit more, which is something that was maybe lacking from 3A. Okay, but there's your 5 minutes of serious discussion. Now let's get back into the more important. Going through every character, and here's the questions we're going to be answering. It's is there anything there romantically from either side, both sides? What are some of our more notable interactions? And I think I'm not going to start with Star because that is too easy. I think let's start with Jackie as we transition from the past to the present, because it's possible we've seen the last Jackie episode ever. And, I don't know what the current thinking of, as at the time we thought, yeah, that might be her farewell. I don't know if that shifted or not, but, in season 3A, it seems like, we wrote off Earth. We potentially wrote off Jackie. Jackie and Marco broke up, but, this is a clear, yes, there was something there on both sides because, they were dating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Michelle, do you think, is there any future of hope for Jackie and Marco? Does she still like Marco?
She might still like Marco, but that's not, doesn't matter because she broke up with him when she realized that he was into Star and Star was always, which is going to be a very common thread, with these characters. She realized Star was never gonna not be in his life, and that she didn't want to get between that, and so she pieced out, which is like the very mature thing to do. So like, yeah, maybe she selects him, but she doesn't like think it's gonna work out later at this point.
Yeah, I agree. It was very mature. But what if Marco gets over Star? Then April, do you think that there could be a Jarkko reunion?
There could be a Jarkko reunion, but I think I also agree that Jackie respects herself enough to not take Marco back, because
she's not taking leftovers.
No, she's like, no, you had your chance with me and you left that. So like, I respect Jackie for that decision that she hasn't yet made. So, but I don't think that there's a potential for them to get back together. Like, no if there was, no potential.
Jackie's a catch. She'd probably hook up with somebody else before if Marco made that decision, she'd be hooked up with somebody else by then, I bet.
Yeah, someone better.
Mm-hmm.
Better than Marco.
Somebody who knows what they have when they have it.
Marco is the star of this podcast.
This guy doesn't just own one cape. He probably owns like two.
Isn't that a positive? Or isn't that like a
Jackie broke up with Marco because of the cape.
Yup, maybe that was it.
He only had one.
Alex, please give us some hope for Jarkko here.
Look, Jackie and Marco, they had their moments where it looked like it would work out. But just the sophomore slump is just like an insight into where Marco is as a character right now, where he's just putting on the blinders and focused on one thing without being able to focus on what's in front of him. That's pretty much his character right now. So right now, I don't think there's a chance for Jackie and Marco. But if there was a future where Star, married Tom or something, let's say.
They're dating right now.
Exactly. So, let's say that, Marco's holding out hope maybe that they're breaking up or something. But let's say that Star and Tom are, permanent. Then I do think there would be a moment where Marco would be able to break from that and be able to dedicate the attention that Jackie needs. Because Jackie is well aware, at the beginning of sophomore slump, she makes it very well aware, you haven't even asked about my summer at all. Mm-hmm. And but she says it in a very mature way, hey, Marco, do you notice something's wrong here? So Jackie's a very smart girl, and I think that whatever she chooses, it's going to work out for her, and she has her emotional stability first in mind. So I wish the best for Jackie, but right now with Marco, I don't think it's going to work just based on how we saw Marco treating Jackie in the few episodes we had of them.
Quickly, Alex, will we ever see Jackie again? Yes or no?
Yes.
What? I feel like that's not what we said a while ago, but...
I'm coming around to us not being a Muni permanently. I think that there is a future where we go back to Earth for some reason and we'll see the characters again.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
What about Marco's parents? I know it's off topic, but...
They're done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we should have thrown them on this outline. They do love Marco,
Oh my
right?
God, no. They are married! Leave them out of this!
This is a shipping podcast.
This is not just romantic love, all types of love for Marco. That's what we're talking about here. Including parental love, so they're on the list in spirit. But Jarkko will be canon in season 7 after Marco breaks up with Kelly, after Starco happens, then they break up, and then Tomco happens, then they break up. Then Marco will get back together with Jackie. Okay, that's what's happening.
He has to go through so many heartbreaks before he
finds his way back to his true love.
So much more mature than him, so he has to learn and
grow.
Oh
no! What if it's something terrible where he's like, I truly am the safe kid. I will go back to Jackie now. That would be terrible.
Actually, it would be. Maybe they just but yeah, okay. It's Jarkko shippers. There is there's no hope. I'm sorry, but okay. Let's talk.
Well, look, let's
crush their dreams.
All the Jarkko shippers are shippers of that because they like Jackie. I don't think it's anymore because of the relationship between Jackie and Marco. It's just that we want Jackie to be a meaningful character because there was potential there.
Yeah.
So
I think that's some of them, but not.
I think that's the majority of them at this point.
I would hope so. But, I'm not so sure. Okay, so, yeah, we'd like to see Jackie in a non-Jarkko capacity, but probably not 3B. Anyway, here, let's talk, we go from the old news to the new hotness here in terms of Marco, which is Kelly.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
April, you're into this?
I think I have the 3 biggest Kelly fans in the world here, so I think that might be true. Not, but that doesn't mean you ship Kelly and Marko, which, yeah, Alex, take us through all of the Kelko evidence that we've gotten. They were dancing together.
Yeah, well, the Lava Lake Beach is obviously the foundation of our thesis here on the Kelko ship.
Thesis
talk about this.
Look, Marko takes it upon himself to find Kelly. He's the only one who cares, as Tom and Star are busy in their own business. So he gives her a hug as she's crying, and he holds her face up tenderly as her tears are running down her face. And eventually Kelly gets comfortable with him, right? He starts doing a little bit of puns and whatnot. And of course, you have the beautiful segment at the end where they're watching the soul rise. And they have this sweater wrapped up over each other. Even like referring to Tom and Star about watching the soul rise, they haven't earned it. But that implies we've earned it. So, like that they're kin in that, right? That they've they're separated from the person that they loved for a long time, and that they're like using each other as a rebound. So that this isn't going to last very well, but it's going to be a sweet ride until then. But
I think you might be projecting a little there.
Maybe.
I feel like this is what the show is saying.
And so, besides Lava Lake Beach, we've only had little bits and pieces. Like you have them dancing together in Monster Bash. Like Kelly comes up to her, "Hey, Marko, want to dance?" And like, "Sure, whatever," and we'll dance. And then the same thing in Stump Day. They dance at the end. And there's also a brief exchange between Kelly and Jana where Jenna says, like, "Are you just mad Marko's fighting Tom over Star instead of you?" And Kelly is defensive. So you're like, oh, okay, well, she knows something's up. So that is the entirety of the Kelko ship.
Look, that's a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
I think you got the timeline wrong, though. I think it started all the way back in Goblin Dogs. Because when they were waiting in line, Marko was like the only person to talk to Kelly. And though she didn't respond back, I mean, that began their beautiful, beautiful love.
Also, with that, we should know that Ponyhead is the one who pushes Marko to talk to Kelly. So that means that Ponyhead is the matchmaker of the best ship.
She really is. So,
yeah. I mean, I think Ponyhead's anti-Starco, so this would make sense to do.
That does make a lot of sense.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
That's an agenda.
I think Ponyhead's been well, that's kind of the intro to her character.
She's anti. All along.
Yeah,
we'll get to that when we get to Ponyhead. But.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, not in. Okay, yeah, well, maybe a different perspective with Ponyhead later. But yeah, April, Kelko, are they dating or # just friends?
I think until they have, between the two of them, they're mature enough to have that conversation. Right now, they're just friends, but they're toying with that idea of being together. And they're totally going to get together because he likes her, she likes him. Also, Marko's kind of stubborn, and he feels like he just has a lot to prove. And so I feel like he's like, I can prove to, Kelly and to everyone that I'm not hung up on Star. So I'm going to date Kelly because Kelly's cool. True life. But also, and then once he's with her, he'll just realize that he's happy with her and they'll be together.
Oh, wow. It's going all the way. Okay.
Why not?
It's good. This is the true OTP, apparently. Michelle.
Well, I have a lot of those, but
no, one. Only one true fairy.
No, life's short. Have some.
It's in the name.
Thank you. I will have as many as I want.
Yeah, we'll see how many. We'll track the OTPs here. Michelle, dating or just friends?
Oh my god. Okay. So I get the whole Kelly being into Marko because he was a nice boy, but like I don't think Marco's aware of what he did. I think he very much sees Kelly as a friend, and which is nice of her because that's the decent thing to do when your friend is sad. And I think Kelly probably has developed a bit of a crush on him, but I think it's totally one-sided because Marco's just too oblivious to everyone in that department except for Star. I think honestly, it's not Kelly's fault, but like I don't think Marko realizes Kelly has a crush on him at all.
I think that might be true, but I think Marko thinks he's into Kelly right now.
What? Based on what though?
based on him like being happy around her and stuff. Like,
but they're friends. Your friends should make you happy.
yes, agree.
Should change that automatically.
My read on Marko
don't always make me happy.
My read on Marko, based off the 5 frames we've gotten of him reacting to Kelly, is that he thinks he likes her. Like, he thinks this is a great situation. This is how I get over Star. Kelly,
anything like that though.
Look, there's not a lot to base anything on, so I'm just.
We can have a whole hour-long podcast about Kelly based off 6 seconds of her.
We did that.
We can defend to the death Kelko.
And look, with the episodes where Kelly exists, the Star pairs off with Tom, Marko pairs off with Kelly. It's it's just kind of the parallels are there, and Marko never goes off with. If Kelly is in there, he never goes with anybody else. So that's a telltale sign.
She's the only other friend there. Everyone else
from the beginning, though.
She could dance with Jana.
Yeah, that's true. He knows Jana.
That's not a realistic option, but we'll.
Look, I have things to say about Jana.
Okay. I think the show is presenting Marko and Kelly as a thing. In whatever capacity, I think they're presenting it as the Starco rebound ship. I don't think it's a legitimate thing. I don't think it's gonna be here for a while, but there's a reason we're showing them dancing together.
I think it has potential, but I don't think Marko has realized it's even an option. To be honest, I'm not saying it couldn't be, but I don't think he's thought about it as much as Kelly has.
At the very least, I think Marko's thinking, oh, it's nice to be hanging out with Kelly, and it makes me forget my sadness about Star. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Regardless whether that's platonic or romantic, I do think ultimately the thing is that Marko doesn't really love her, in that it's that's going to come up. It's oh, I don't actually like you. It's just a distraction from Star.
Well, it's almost like they're kind of doing a because you know how at the beginning of Starco, everything was super platonic, they're friends, that kind of thing. It's just almost kind of we're getting that with Marko and Kelly too. So it's they're doing what they started to do with Star and Marko, and they're just doing it with Kelly and Marko now.
And I definitely think that there's a thing here where Marko is coming out of a relationship with Jackie where they very much defined that relationship as boyfriend-girlfriend. And Marko felt some kind of pressure there all the time whenever he was around Jackie to keep up that sort of title, so to speak. So the fact that he's coming out of it and now he's going back to the whole, I don't want to define this relationship, let's just be friends, let's not add pressure to this. It is a logical step for somebody to take, especially if you're as insecure as Marko and you don't want to lock yourself in that whole boyfriend-girlfriend dynamic because you end up pressuring yourself into just do how Marko just failed with Jackie. I assume that he doesn't want to just go over the same exact cycle with Kelly.
Yeah, I don't know if Marko's thinking about it that much, but that's interesting.
I don't think Marko's thinking about it that much, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Alex.
I agree.
Yes, I agree as well.
Good analysis from the #1 Kelko shipper in the world. But can we all agree that there's something on Kelly's side?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so just keeping track because we're 2 for 2 on these people liking Marko now. So
now I do want to say, well, Kelly's the one with the attention. I do think Kelly's the one who's going to be breaking this off. I don't think it's going to be Marko.
Yeah, she might break it off before he realizes it was an option.
Yeah. Once Kelly realizes it's not healthy for her.
Yeah.
I think
she's nah, bye.
When she gets back together with Tad, the true OTP of the show, then is that one of your OTPs, April?
Oh no.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We might talk about Tad. Okay, so let's get into Jana.
Yes.
Jana and Marko. I don't know if I have specific examples, but Jana's always teased Marko ever since she started being a character, I guess, late in season 1. And she probably has a crush on Marko. April, what do you think?
Oh, I totally think that. You know how, when you're 5 and you pick on the people that you like? Jana never grew out of that. So... So she just continues to sort of pick on him until, he, I guess, notices her, and then she's going to make her move, for sure.
Oh, going to make her move. Wow.
God.
Yeah.
Happening.
But also, Jana's the opposite of Marko, so opposites attract. So,
She could be the opposite of him in other ways too.
Oh my.
Michelle, get into that.
I have always thought Jana was super gay, so I just don't see. I think the reason she makes fun of Marko is because who wouldn't want to make fun of Marko? He's so easy to make fun of. That's just a fun thing to do. Yeah, you seen that cape? Why wouldn't you? I don't think there's anything romantic there from Jana.
Really, nothing.
You would, but I think she's too gay for that nonsense.
You never in the series you thought it was romantic feelings from Jana.
No.
Interesting. Alex, where do you stand on this?
With April said something about Jana's waiting for her moment to make her move, but we just had a recent episode deep dive where Jana and Marko were alone together. Marko tried to start it up, hey, we haven't hung out alone in a while, and Jana's nope, just hypnotized out. So
she's freezing him out. That's the new thing, right?
No, that's. I don't want to get into the advanced flirting tactics here. Just on a superficial level, that means Jana's not interested in going down that road with Marko. In fact, I think that Jana and Star have more of an attraction than Jana and Marko.
Look, none of us are going to argue against the Jan Star.
Yeah.
That's a separate thing.
Or do anything, but I think, Jana has way more chemistry with Star.
Alex, are you saying that Jana is negging Marko? Is that her move?
Well, yeah, Jana's just ignoring Marko when it comes to that side, and she only interacts with Marko to mess with him, to steal his social security number or just show up in the bathroom, just to cause him discomfort. That's her own. She's a sadist. She likes to cause pain to Marko.
But she causes him pain because she at least likes him as a person.
She's not doing it to everyone.
Even if you don't read it romantically, it's still because she likes him as a human being. That's why she's doing it playfully.
But I wonder if it's just she likes it because he's friends with Star.
I mean, that could be it, yeah.
She's been picking on him for a long time, though, hasn't she? Before Star?
That's definitely possible, although obviously the show starts with Star showing up, so we haven't really seen what it was like before Star showed up. But
it could also be possible Jana's never really had any guy friends, and she thinks this is just how you relate to a guy. You just make fun of them all the time.
Or she's never really liked anyone, and she doesn't know how to process those feelings, so she just takes it out by picking on him all the time. Don't we all do that?
Look, I'm all about gay Jana and Jan Star, but I think the perspective of the show, and the show has been pretty straight throughout its entire run, is that this is displaying the kid who teases the other kid because they like them. I think that's how it started, whether it's still that or not. I'm that's my pretty firm read on what the show is trying to display there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Not buying it.
Not saying I don't. I agree with this as a depiction. You do really yes, but do you really think this show has that in it? The show has not made any effort to have.
Are we forgetting all the gay smooches that happened in the episode?
There's one frame background gay kiss. There's no. I mean, there's been no gay main or side characters on the show.
We know of.
I think the more realistic thing is just Jana never having a relationship in that way on the show. She's just always going to be the person who messes with everybody.
Exactly.
At the very least, at its core, I don't think Jana's going to be with anyone except for maybe Tom if they want to go down that road. But it's a separate show. At its core, the dynamic is Jana teases Marko in a playful way as friends and potentially flirting, but there's at least affection there in whatever form. None of us are arguing that Jana hates Marko, right?
No.
Yeah, hate's too strong.
Okay.
Hate's too strong.
I think this is 3 for 3 romantically. At the very least, there's some sort of affection. Anyway,
the one thing I can say to support this, also in the same episode deep dive, I think Jana was blowing in Marco's ear or something.
Literally.
Isn't that a thing boyfriends and girlfriends do? They blow in each other's ears.
Is that what the kids are doing these days? Literally all of Deep Dive is Jana flirting with Marko, so I had a completely different read on that episode. It's just the entire episode. It's anyway. Let's talk. Not saying I'm into the Jana Marko ship. I'm not, but this is just my objective read on. Anyway, I don't think they're going to do anything with it. but maybe like Marco's fourth relationship after. Is that what I said before?
We can add it.
It's gonna go through like 12.
Yeah.
What is this ship called? Janko, right?
Janko.
Yeah, so this is a very janky ship.
Yeah, that's why it's not gonna work.
Don't laugh it. Don't encourage it. That was a pity laugh. Okay, let's talk Tom.
How dare you?
This is, I would say, the second most popular Marco ship, Tomco, in the fandom. Tom and Marco, yes, people ship it. I think the big episode supporting this is Friend Enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where they're dating, right?
They sung a song together. Yeah.
Yeah, Michelle, who likes who, if any, and are they going to date?
Oh, they both got chemistry. They both, I think, have an equal amount of interest in each other. I think the thing that just tears this wide open is that they both know Star is way cooler than either of them. So, of course, they're going to want to go hook up with her first. But if Star was not there, I think there's some real potential for them to, have a nice life. Because they do have chemistry.
Okay, at least there's chemistry. April, do you feel the chemistry, that the Tomco chemistry?
Of course, since day one.
What is day one of Tomco, by the way? When did this originate?
When
Blood Moon Ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the biggest Starco episode people read is the Tomco. Interesting. Okay.
Exactly. Continue. How could you not? Marco gazed upon Tom and was like, I'm gonna love this man. I need to punch him in the face.
Oh my god, yes. Hate and love are both very strong emotions and very close together. So
exactly. There's a very fine line. And I think the same could be said about Tom towards Marco. He's like, it's not so much that Star is hanging out with Marco, but it's the fact that Star is hanging out with Marco and I want to hang out with Marco. So that's why he's like, I'm going to go to therapy and I'm going to say that Marco's the person that makes me the most angry so that I'm forced to spend an entire evening with him. I'm going to learn all about him. I mean, he went through the effort of learning all about Marco for that one evening together.
He brought that guy back from the dead just for Marco. That takes energy. That for people.
So I think it's just going to continue to progress into something beautiful. Also, Tom was wearing Marco's hoodie, and yes, Star gave it to him, but he kept it. He was like, this is Marco's hoodie. I'm going to wear it.
Marco. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. It's real. Alex, it's real, right?
Come on, Alex. Tell me I'm wrong.
There's more here than Jana. I'll give you that.
There's so much.
On which side?
I think it's mutual. Although I think Tom has a stronger attraction to Marco than Marco does to Tom. I feel like Tom it came from a place of jealousy, but then it morphed into a different kind of passion. Like jealousy comes from passion.
Kind of passion.
So it just kind of morphed into something else. You guys have already mentioned the biggest thing, like friend enemies. The only thing I can remember from recent episodes, like in Stump Day, they have that little fight, and Tom is asking Marco for validation, tell me I'm a good boyfriend,
Yeah.
So it's like
so that I can be a good boyfriend to you.
Exactly.
But yeah, Tom seems to want approval from Marco, and it doesn't. At least I don't see it the other way around. So I think it's stronger on Tom's side personally. And I definitely think there's something there since they share several interests, including Star. But
primarily Star. Yeah.
But there's something there for sure.
I think Tom might just be a little more insecure about his feelings than Marco too.
How can someone be more insecure than Marco?
Because Marco's oblivious about his feelings, though. A lot of times.
I suppose.
I was going to say, Marco is a little bit more, like Michelle said, oblivious to his feelings for Tom. And so he has yet to be insecure about them. Now that he knows, or now that he's, quote unquote come to the realization that he's in love with Star, or he likes her or whatever. And now he's like super insecure. And so, and same with like Jackie. Whenever Jackie found out, he like had his like moments and all the naysayer and everything like that. And so I think once he's like realizes that, oh my gosh, Tom is the one for me, then he will also he'll have to stumble through it like he does everything else. So
Yeah.
But he'll find his stride with Tom for sure.
Okay, so you guys are saying season 4, it's happening. Tomko.
I
The
think
last great relationship.
the biggest reason this can work is because Marco always wears a red hoodie and Tom lives in hell. So, you know, like it's like destined
Color.
to happen.
They'll
Yeah.
match.
That's
Okay,
the big
yeah.
evidence here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
Exactly.
Okay, I think it's destiny. Yeah. I agree. This is more there on Tom's side, if anything. So I think that this is 4 for 4 on romantic feelings for Marco. That's my take on it.
Yes.
Jana disputed, but
Jana
Yeah.
disputed. I guess.
Jana
I think.
was
I mean,
tied amongst us. So.
Tom is. I think Tom is easily just as disputed if Jana is disputed. Like they're both kind of circumstantial evidence things, but there's at least a lot of people that read them as romantic on all 4 so far. And let's add a 5th here, Hekapoo.
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
Hekapoo is going to be there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
made this list.
You made this.
I'm number 1 Hekapoo fan, and yeah, we got the 2 Marco Hekapoo episodes, and both of them feature. There's this dynamic with adult Marco and normal Marco, and adult Marco and Hekapoo, I think, have clear romantic chemistry. I think it's clear on Hekapoo's side. In that last episode, she said, "What? I can't resist. I can't resist her adult voice." So like, can't be more clear than that. Michelle, Markapoo, are you in?
Okay, to be clear, she definitely does not have a thing for 14-year-old Marco, but like, yeah, he's got abs for days when he morphs into the adult version. Like, she totally digs him, and I think he like kind of digs her too, because like he wouldn't use his adult voice if he didn't know what it was going to do to her. So he like knows. They both know.
They both know it's a thing, and they
Yeah.
just are like, this can't happen because it's really
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, that's basically the situation.
well, Hekapoo's like, this can't happen because of Star.
Oh
But,
yeah, well maybe
yeah.
that too. But did it happen in Running with Scissors, like during the 30 years or whatever? Like, did that ever happen, Michelle?
I don't know, because like he only ever caught up to the original at the very end,
yeah, that's
right?
true.
So like he was just with
Mhm.
all of her fake ones for 30 years.
It could be a thing. But yeah, I don't know how that works.
Maybe,
but-
I don't know.
April, Markapoo.
Oh, for sure. For both of them, they definitely like they're already essentially in a relationship, but they understand that there's this weird like dimensional age difference, which is why they're both like super hesitant. But I mean, like H-Poo, Muscles, like they've got the little pet names for each other. And then even like Marco himself said, going around and closing portals are the best times that I've had since I've gotten to Muni with you. Like, he called out that hanging out with her is just so much more satisfying. And then whenever, like, he's sort of blowing her off for Star, she's getting all defensive about it. Like, oh yeah, they definitely, like, want each other bad.
Ooh. Definitive terms. Alex.
the tension is palpable.
Yeah.
In addition, like they, especially in Nightlife, they frame that entire episode almost as if Marco is like cheating on Star. He's like sneaking out to go hang out with Hekapoo in the middle of the night.
Their forbidden
And-
love.
And like comes back like, oh, I was fishing.
Oh my
Like,
god,
that's
it's
the
true.
classic cheater's excuse. But and also like even as a like young Marco, like Hekapoo doesn't exactly show like a disgust toward him either, because they're like hanging out at a bar together, and Marco in his normal state. And also like Marco is on his side, like he gets jealous when Hekapoo invites that Raven Talon guy.
Oh,
well.
yeah.
He's like, we don't need this bro around. He's like, he's getting jealous that Hekapoo's inviting a third member into the bedroom, you know? And also,
whoa, slow down.
Blow out my candle, Marco.
Okay, slow down, guy.
yeah, I do think there's something there. I almost want to say that it's more Marco than Hekapu, because I think Hekapu is able to control herself more. Like she limits it to when it's adult Marco, whereas Marco, I think the attention is there all the time, no matter what. So I think this is more of a Marco leaning relationship than Hekapu.
I mean, it may be more, but this is definitely both sides. Like this is like way more explicit than even the Jana crush, which I think is pretty clear intent on the show. This is like this is what those 2 episodes are about, and it's really weird that they did this, but it's great, and those are 2 of the best episodes of the show. Oh yeah, this is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
This is the only Markapu's the only thing that would be acceptable outside of Starco. This is it. But so we're 5 for 5 on people liking Marco because yeah. So you see what I mean, because we haven't even talked about Starco yet, and that's gonna make it 6 for 6. So
although I do want to ask this: what does Hekapu actually like about Marco? Is it just the superficialness of it? Is it the fact that he's like open to helping, or like what exactly is attracting? Because
Alex, we weren't there for those 30 years.
Well, like Hekapu has existed for thousands of years, like, so there needs to be something special for Marco to stand out.
I think April's right.
Yeah, he was like he went after her. Mm-hmm. Like he
30
was
years.
For 30 years, he was determined to find her. Like, you don't just, like, ignore that someone who's, been pursuing you for 30 years. Like,
show something special in the person.
I think
tenacity.
I think Running with Scissors says the main thing is that he's the one that, like, put in that much effort. I mean, I also think Hekapu, like, finds Marco's, like, childishness endearing and stuff like that. You can read into some other things, but at least that was what Running with Scissors says.
Yeah, because I just think like Hekapu is the most mature of the people that we have here in our serious relationships. I'm just wondering, like, what would make her attracted to Marco?
I think
like
Marco's like an escapism from Hekapu's normal magic duties, like her
that
immortal
too.
being thing. Yeah, like Marco's like her fun little side thing. Basically. Yeah. I think that's what the show is genuinely presenting. Like and it's weird that this is pretty explicit. Anyway, Starco, we talk about it enough, so they're in love.
The end.
Yeah. So,
6 for 6. Got it.
Well, Starco, it's happening in season 4, right?
Yeah.
No.
We're not going to get it.
It would be dragged out if it wasn't.
They're going to drag it out.
That's just
they're going to. They're going to drag us all through the mud.
The only thing I demand is some big Starco moment at the end of 3B. Like, it needs to happen.
Like
what's a big moment? Because a hug we've already had.
Kiss.
Hoop noses. No, not too intense.
Hoop noses. I would not be. Come on.
Hold on. So that would explain how we end up back on Earth. Like, let's say Marco's just like starts because I love you. He kisses her and he's like, okay, well, since I know that's gonna happen, I'm gonna go back to Earth. Bye.
I don't know if it's a given we're going to Earth, but this is we don't really know what's happening past 3.
No, we really don't. We don't even know what's happening like past where we are.
The season, yeah. Hopefully Eclipse. Besides that, who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Speaking of Eclipse, anyway. Okay.
No.
Six contenders here, and you all were doubting my everyone thirsty for Marco, but there's 6 of the main characters of the show, and everyone likes Marco. I have a bunch of less.
This is false.
You have a lot of crack.
What's false? We've established it.
Jana
okay,
is
you
false.
dispute. Okay, you put in your you put in your dispute for Jana, but at the very least, there are a lot of people that believe it. So
look,
okay,
Jana's
but they're wrong. Jana's not thirsty.
Both.
Oh yeah, I don't know if thirsty for Jana. I think maybe Jana and Tom are the most disputable here, but it's
Tom's not disputable.
Yeah,
at all.
Get out of here.
I feel like our preferences are showing more than anything, which I don't disagree with, but I think it's clouding our judgment. Okay,
yeah. Also, in the present, Jackie isn't thirsty for Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Although, I mean, we still think we all still said she liked him, but broke up with him for like bettering herself and maturity reasons. So like, in theory, she still is trying to get over Marco or whatever now. But thirsty is a strong word. Anyway, let's get into less serious contenders because there's still a lot of characters on the show that probably like Marco that we haven't even talked about. And I want to start with Higgs, because, Higgs is a main character, right? And she is.
she?
No, she's not a main character.
Do you remember who
Just
Higgs
one
is?
episode.
First of all,
I had to look her up again.
I did as
not.
well.
Yeah,
She's
Oh
in
my
that
God.
one supermarket episode.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
the squire.
Quest by duh. Jeez.
She's the squire for Sir Stabby, and I
Yeah.
only
I would
know
not
that
have
because I
remembered that.
literally
Yeah.
looked it up like 10 minutes ago because I knew we were gonna like get into this, and I was like, "Wait, who is Higgs again?"
Okay,
So
I thought
can't
she
forget
was a
Higgs.
man, but she's
Oh my
not.
gosh, Higgs is
No.
very important, and a
Oh,
lot
I'm
of
sure she
fans
is.
like Higgs and ship her with Marco. Michelle, is there anything there?
No, she's also gay. Her name's Higgs. She's a squire. She has cute short hair, and she calls him a
You
nerd.
can't say the
not
name.
in a cute way. She calls him a nerd, and I'm gonna crush you, little sad boy way, not in a cute way.
It's the same as Jana.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
No,
not
from
even
my
like
side.
MVP of this show.
Look, Dylan, I'm on your side with Jana, but I'm not on your side with Higgs.
Mhm.
Are you saying
They're
that
both coming over.
Higgs just hates Marco and there's no tension there?
But she does not have affection for him. He's an
Does
obstacle.
not have affection for him, and he
Ways.
does not have affection for her
Nope.
at all.
Yeah.
Look, there's not enough time to make this real yet, but I'm just saying, if they were to have a second episode, it would 100% be canon.
She
I'm
calls
just-
him a nerd. He calls her a jerk.
That's
I
what
do
you
not see how it could be any
That's
less
what you call
romantic.
people when you like them. You call them nerds.
Calls them
duh.
jerks.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do that to people.
Yeah, see? I've been convincing you.
Y'all are
It's
very
real.
aggressive in your
Yeah,
flirting.
jeez.
No, I did actually rewatch this episode, and I pinpoint two moments that could potentially support this. First, at the
Oh,
very
wow.
beginning,
No.
Good. Thank you, Alex.
at the very beginning of the
I'm on
episode,
your side.
at the very beginning of the episode, Higgs says very seriously, "A great squire is an organized squire." Now, you could justify that as, she's trying to lull him into a sense of comfort and whatnot, but maybe that was sincere. Maybe she actually recognized, Marco is actually doing something that a normal squire would do, as opposed to my initial impression that Marco isn't a real squire, right? And then all the way at the end, you have the knight complimenting Marco's choice of salami, and Higgs gives a face of jealousy. And jealousy, as is shown by Tom, is the first step in a ship. You got to be jealous of someone first before you develop feelings for them. So
Marco
there
was
you
never
go.
jealous of Star, though.
Well, not all relationships start the same, Michelle. But
That's why Star
some
goes
relationships
perfect.
never
Yeah.
get there. Some of them just end up being
So, as
rivals
Alex
forever.
has definitively shown, Higgs Co. is canon. Okay.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah, this is the two-way split on Higgs, at least.
Two-way split. We've
Ah.
just shown definitive evidence here. Come on.
No.
What?
Look, at
Two
the end of-
four.
At the end of the day, if I have to base my case on salami, I don't think it's that
Okay,
strong.
look, Higgs is a one-episode character. Obviously, we're speculating into the future. Anyway, let's talk more serious case I have for
Okay.
Eclipse.
More serious.
Eclipse ended up being gay, but she's into monsters, yo. Like, Marco is not up her alley at all. He is not even the same species.
Well-
How could you?
Okay, but
He's
hold
the
on
same
a second.
species as her.
So here's my thing. I have mixed feelings about Eclipse because part of me wants to be like, oh, it's super cute because she's like fascinated with him because she's never really like seen a human before. But then there's also this part of me that's just like, look, you guys, we cannot interpret her innocence and her sort of behavior as flirtation and anything more because one, she's married, like.
Boo! How do you forget that?
She's
Dylan?
probably
The
widowed.
husband's
Probably.
dead.
Yeah.
It's
That's
that.
fair, but she's also been like asleep for 100 years, so like she's just like, you know, she's just so innocent, and
Look,
we can't.
Let's get into the evidence. Because
Okay.
there's firm evidence here. And,
Okay.
there's
Okay.
the karate dance, right?
Okay,
Yeah. Alex, do you remember?
Is that the only evidence you have?
No, tell it. Remind me and listeners what was up with that.
Marco is frightened, and Eclipse says, "Oh, that's a cute move. Is that how you're gonna protect yourself from me?" And that's the entirety of
No.
the Eclipse
And then
Marco
later,
story.
at the dance, right? Like, isn't it like someone told someone, or is that the Kelly? I don't know.
What?
There's because they do it at the Monster
No,
Ball, right?
Yeah, no, that's Pigeon Man.
Yeah, the Eclipse is
Oh,
not
we should have added
better.
Pigeon Man to this. Oh, we should have added Rich Pigeon. Wow,
I
forgot
think
about
you
Rich
remembered
Pigeon.
it wrong.
Is
Yeah,
Rich Pigeon into Marco?
Rich Pigeon's too busy.
Yeah.
Being rich, yeah.
Yeah, being rich.
Pigeon
Getting used
has
to his
a lot of
new
Anyway,
things.
let's
No,
limit
yeah,
to the.
Eclipse and Marco have had one
Yeah.
minute together in this entire show.
Yeah, so
It's
what that
not
1 minute
show.
shows proves to me is that Eclipse thinks Marco is funny and like cute. There you go.
But again,
It's sad.
she's been like, I guess, crystallized for hundreds of years. She's probably never seen a human. Like, she's obviously interested. Okay, so I guess I'm kind of making your point. She's obviously interested into things that aren't of the same, like, being as her. So, because we all know.
I'm not saying these are like deep romantic feelings and they will last. I'm just saying she's bemused by Marco.
Bemused
It's like,
is a good word.
Okay, yes.
She's like, oh, you remind me of a boy I would have liked when I was your age.
What?
Something like that.
No, she
did not say that.
like a person who's never seen a bumblebee would be staring at it under a microscope. Oh, look at that!
One of the two.
What is that? It's not romantic at all. It's just like, you're so weird. That's
Not saying it's romantic. I'm just there's some sort of there's a bemusement which is a cousin of affection there. So there you go.
Like a
This
fifth
cousin.
cousin or something.
Yeah.
I'm saying is there's people that ship this, Jeff. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Wow.
Well, I
One
understand
other
people
person.
ship it, but that doesn't mean they're right.
Right. We can't give them false.
There's something there. There's something there. Okay, let's move on to someone who's definitely obsessed with Marco.
Oh no.
Miss
God.
Haynes.
When I saw this on your list, I had to just drink some water because
Michelle, please tell me
there-
how Miss Haynes is not obsessed with Marco.
I'm not
Please
gonna
tell me.
say she's not, but she really hates him, and she's really old, and it's just not. The thing is with Miss Haynes and Marco, she's not obsessed with him as a person. She's obsessed with what he stands for. And that's a very different thing. It's not about Marco. It's about what he represents as a princess to other princesses. And it's no more than that.
I would argue her fixation has gone beyond that and is now specifically focused on Princess Marco.
I'm actually on Dylan's side here. I think this is
sorry.
this is more serious of a ship than Higgs and Eclipse, okay? Because at
Higgs
least
and Eclipse. Ooh, that's interesting.
yeah, because those are fake ships. But at least with Haynes, there's an obsession, and an obsession can develop into something more sinister, or something just different. But there is a route there for a relationship to happen at some point in the near future. Plus the fact that now she's Meteora, she's not heinous anymore. So this character can undergo a lot of different changes, and who knows? Maybe she'll be receptive to Princess Marco and her new message all of a sudden.
I don't want to age shame, but I do think it would be really bad if they got together because she's at a very different place in her life than he is.
Obviously, Michelle does.
Remind her who her mother is. She's in no place to start a relationship.
Well, actually, I do want to ask something just sort of related to this. Are Heinous and Gemini together?
No, I don't
No.
think so. He's just a helpful.
He's a henchman.
Gemini wants that to be a thing,
but she does not.
Yeah.
No way.
Okay.
That's the dynamic.
And now, would Marco and Gemini work? Because I think almost those two are more kin to each other.
Oh my god, I would ship that over.
They're both sidekicks, right? And they're both kind of bumbling compared to their.
I can't believe I didn't put Gemini on this list. Wow.
Yes.
But Gemini doesn't know Marco as a sidekick. He only knows Princess Marco, who is a leader. She stands for individuality.
Look, in a relationship, you got to get to know each other.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
learn more about the
But what
deeper
if he
side of
learns-
their personalities.
But what if Gemini learns that about Marco and decides he's not into Marco anymore?
Well, that's the trial stages of a relationship,
Exactly.
You might find details that turn you off, but you got to try.
I'm so on board with this. Yes. The secret ship has appeared.
This is maybe the stupidest thing we've ever talked about on this podcast, but
it wasn't stupider than the Eclipse ship.
No, that was legitimate. So we agree Miss Haynes obsessed with Marco.
She is unhealthily obsessed with Marco. Yes.
Marco has no feelings.
This is an unhealthy ship, but a ship nonetheless.
Okay, very rapid fire. Ponyhead.
Okay.
No.
She's only interested in Marco so that Star and Marco don't end up together.
Exactly. She is the cock block.
Now, on the other hand, in the most recent episode, at the end, she says, like, I'm sorry I was hard on Earth Turd, although not really because he's improved as a person because of my criticism. So Ponyhead is actively helping Marco to be a better person, and that is the basis of a healthy relationship.
She's just taking credit for it.
Well,
or
yes.
she's actively trying to turn him into something that she could legitimize in her head for being interested in.
Yes! I love that! That makes so much sense with Ponyhead logic.
Sure. But in the end, the point is Ponyhead is exerting her influence on Marco, and therefore there is a potential for a relationship here, and this is actually serious.
Sneaky one, where you try to change someone.
Okay, look, Ponyhead has affection for Marco, not really romantic, but deep down, despite her constant insults. I think that's the...
What's the difference here between this ship and Janna's ship?
They're both crazy. There is no difference.
Right. It's a similar dynamic to Jana. It's the insulting, teasing someone because you actually like them deep down. I think Jana, the show is presenting as more of a romantic thing because I think the show is very straight perspective, but the Ponyhead thing is probably not being presented as that.
Yeah, I do think that Ponyhead's treatment of Marco, especially in earlier seasons, was more mean-spirited. But at the same time, the show has given us episodes of them interacting and learning more about it. Yeah, we also had that pizza episode where they eventually learned to get along. So I just think that there's more of a basis there for a relationship between Ponyhead and Marco than there is between Marco and Jana.
If it's who could have a successful relationship instead of who has latent romantic feelings, I think these are separate questions. I agree. Maybe Ponyhead and Marco would work out more.
I only ship relationships that are going to be successful.
That's logical, but
Alex only ships things
banned
that his head are healthy.
Got it.
Yeah, you need to have crazier OTPs. That's what I'm saying.
You have to have multiple OTPs.
My OTP is Calco, and they will last forever.
Okay.
Yeah. Noted.
Nope. You need more than one.
Tad and Marco are bros in Tad's mind.
Yeah, Tad thinks they're best friends, right?
Yeah. So does Tad love Marco?
This is Tad.
This is all Tad.
Yeah, but he loves him.
I think that's fair because he did notice a lot about how into Marco Star is. And when you really like someone, you notice stuff like
Michelle,
that.
I've noticed a pattern that whenever I bring up a stupid gay ship, you're into it, and a stupid straight ship, and you're not into it.
Why is it a lovely gay ship?
These are all stupid ships, Michelle. Every single thing we've talked about.
That includes Starco, then.
Not Starco.
You really want to think you're.
I apologize to the Starco gods, not Starco.
Okay. The specific line Tad gives is, "I've been watching you all night."
Exactly. See.
Ooh.
Okay, so I think the Tad Marco relationship is one where like Marco just keeps friend zoning Tad, but Tad wants to be more than friends. But he keeps putting himself back into the friend zone. Like he just keeps setting himself up for it until eventually Tad's like, "Look, I can't do this to myself anymore." And Marco's like, "Look, I've given you nothing. Like
I've given you nothing."
I don't know how we're analyzing this so much.
So good, I love it.
Well, I just thought
you asked for this, Dylan.
You wrote him down. You wrote his name down this list you gave us.
This is literally the ship in a movie where a guy is staring through a bush to another person.
Yeah, he's people watching the crap out of Marco.
Okay. So Tad is obsessed with Marco. Again, though, there's another one who obsessed with Marco. Rubariat, Full Duke, and Mime.
No.
Is this like a sister wives situation?
All of them at the same time, yeah. Jackie talks about the cute Mime.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
The Mime's too good for Marco.
Yeah, and so is Full Duke. They got their own thing going on. Not necessarily with each other. They have their own lives.
This is the only... They all like Marco, though.
That's true.
He's fine. He's
they're
not
Resistance brothers,
sure, but they're not in love with him.
I guess Rubariat has a slight chance in that he wrote the song about Star and Marco, so like he knows a lot more about Marco's personality than either of those other two. So like Rubariat would have.
Wait, Rubariat's the direction you go. That's the one I wouldn't have
Star
gone.
and Marco. Why would he do that if he really liked Marco?
Because he wants to support his love, like even if he can't be with him.
He was trying to sabotage Star and Marco's relationship so that he could have Marco.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Is Rubariat the true
welcome.
villain of the season? Is
He
that what's
is,
happening?
actually.
Wow.
I mean, he was definitely a villain in that episode.
He was not a villain in that
He should
episode.
have run
Come
that
on.
song past Star instead of just.
Yes, he should have ran the song.
But
past
he
that.
didn't.
Is
Why?
Mhm.
Why? Okay. So, to end, let's go around the horn. Tell me one Marco ship that you're now more in on after our discussion than before. What have you learned from this podcast? That's what I'm asking. Michelle, what are you more into now?
What's the name of the henchman? The heinous henchman.
Gemini.
That wasn't one of the ones on the
I'm
list.
so 100% there for that.
That wasn't on the list.
Now. That's it.
Okay, we've invented a new ship here. I'm glad. April, what do you now support?
What do I now support that I didn't before?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. What have you seen the light on?
Ponyhead and Marco for sure.
You're convinced you. Wow. It's canon. Alex.
I'll join Michelle. I'm into this Gemini ship all of a sudden.
I was
Wasn't
trying
an
to be
option.
different. We all want Gemini and Marco to be together.
That's the only crack ship that makes sense. Of course, I will never stop shipping Kelly and Marco. So but nobody's ever going to move me on that. And I guess I see more of the Hekapoo ship. Before, the age difference is always a bit of a trick there. But I think enough evidence was presented for me to be like, okay, this is a legitimate ship.
That's one of the show presentation ones. Yeah. I had not thought, given an iota of brain power, to Tad and Marco, but now I've been convinced. Okay, there you go. That's
fair.
I thought about it for once. Yeah, thank you, April. I think that we have proven my thesis correct, because for almost all of these people, we have said that they are either obsessed or have romantic feelings for Marco.
Well, all the non-serious ships are obsessed. All the serious ships, it seems to be initiated by Marco.
Eclipse is not obsessed, though.
Eclipse is
obsessed.
Higgs. We think there's probably nothing there, but that's up to interpretation based on the very little evidence we have.
Based on how good
Eclipse
your
is
games are.
amused with Marco. Heinous and Ponyhead, or Heinous and Ponyhead are
No, Heinous and Tad are.
and Tad are
Heinous and Tad.
and then Tad, and then Ponyhead, who knows, and then we didn't really get into the Resistance members. So this is a high success rate of having strong feelings for Marco, is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
Marco's harem is real.
It's very real.
It's real.
Also, I was thinking about this too, in that it's almost like Marco having a harem is like a nod to anime too, because there's a lot of like harem animes that exist. So just wanted to throw that out there because I know.
I think they're doing it on purpose. I think
for sure. Now that I think about it,
it's like most of the examples we've cited for a lot of these characters are like within the past season of episodes. I think this is an intentional troll thing from the show, and it's just an increased layer on top of our constant Starco trolling from the crew. Yeah. It's like this is an added layer. All these people interested in Marco, but it's another barrier between the OTP Starco. See, I tied it all to Starco in the end.
oh,
You liked that, right, Michelle?
No.
Okay. So let us know what we convinced you on. What's the real Marco OTP? And do you want to join Marco's harem? Let us know in the comments. Who's the president of the harem here?
Marco,
but he doesn't know.
Marco.
You can't be president of your own
twist.
fan club.
He
Jeez.
doesn't know he is.
I know Ferguson and Alfonso.
We didn't talk about them. Wow.
Oh my god.
Appropriately, we forgot about Ferguson and Alfonso. Yeah.
Also, rest in peace to the ships of Ludo and Glossaric. I know that there was something of that in season 1, but they've just kind of disappeared as ships since then.
They sunk appropriately.
Oscar too. I think there was a brief time where we were shipping Marco and Oscar.
Again, sunk appropriately.
I
Yeah.
haven't thought of Oscar in a
All
long
the hot
time,
takes.
so there you go. Yeah, yeah. Tell us, are you joining the Marco Harem? And what do you think about it? Let us know, and let us know what you thought of this very serious podcast in the comments, overlyanimated.com, YouTube comments, and subscribe to not miss our future Star podcast. We will see what nonsense the Disney XD Twitter account puts out for season 3B.
Is it any more nonsense than what we've said?
Yes.
Probably not.
This podcast was more legitimate than the announcement of the announcement. That's my hot take.
I agree
Wow.
with that.
That's
Wow.
a pretty, I don't know, it's a pretty hot take.
Look,
Yeah.
ships are very serious business.
This is very serious business. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, come tell us which Marco ship we're wrong about on Discord. Overlyanimated.com/Discord. We have a Starverse channel, and all the serious shipping discussion will happen there. Support us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Brendan, aka Kells. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Andy, and Hugh. Also, please suggest future Star roundtable discussions, much like this one, specific kind of topics you want us to get into about the show, even though it looks like we might be back with new episodes at some point. Who knows what date this is going to be. Starprol.
Starch.
They're probably announcing April. Yeah, I think Disney announces a lot. This is outdated discussion anyway. When these people are listening, but yeah. So tell us what we should talk more about Star, and subscribe to not miss our future Star podcast. Good job, guys. We've successfully spent over an hour talking about Marco's Harem.
Perfect.
What an accomplishment for us all. And thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.